Hi, I'm Courtney Siako. Welcome to Bad Influence, the podcast where we talk about all the bad influences in our lives and the terrible decisions that they influenced us to make. I'm here today with a very funny comic, my friend Josh Edelman.
Rough night, snuck out, drank poison, blackout, handcuffs, poor choices. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, I'm okay. 'Cause I'm the one that you blame. Walk by with my crown of shame, it's getting pretty bad. I'm a bad influence.
Oh, is that it? You know what's funny is I was thinking about this on the way to pick you up. I think you have seen me bomb more times than any other human because of birds.
Oh, well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I'm never paying attention.
Yeah, I know that now, but then I did not know that.
But like, let me explain something. People used to be like, "Wow, you do the best boomerangs at Burt's," but that's because I needed something to do to not pay attention to every comic, the entire set. So I'm like, I'll just keep doing like a boomerang that takes me 5 minutes to make, and by the time I'm done, I light them. And that was my ploy to like not have to listen to comedy anymore.
That makes sense. That's us. I feel like every show I'm like, what's a great caption?
Margot will come up to me. You were the first person that was nice to me and told me I was funny. And in my head, I'm always like, I don't think I was ever paying. I just told that to everyone.
Yeah.
No, that's
you
not
were nice.
True. That's not true.
I feel like I value your opinion more now because your opinion mattered to me so much. Like when I first started.
It's funny. I think about this. It's like I did take into consideration when I was hosting that I remembered how terrified I was of doing stand-up when I was first starting. And like, even though I knew on one hand, like Bert's back room mattered for nothing. Nobody cared. Nothing was going to change about your life. Everything was going to be fine. But then I also knew that these people were terrified. So like the least I can do is like be nice and try to make it as welcoming an experience for them as I could.
I feel like now it's made you like a lot of people's like comedy dad.
I do have that feeling somewhat.
What does Josh think?
Maybe. But I'm also, I also think that like I'm hard on people.
Yeah, you are.
Which also.
You like make people earn things.
Well, because it's like, you know, if somebody's saying nice things to everyone all the time, that means actually like my mom tells me I'm great at something. I'm like, whatever, mom, thanks.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when that person who never says anything nice finally says something nice, it actually is way more meaningful.
It is way more meaningful.
So I think I'm doing a service by being honest to people of when I feel something was earned versus not.
You're just taking every parentless comic.
Apparently, yeah.
Just like being like, I will step in and fix.
Well, I think about this a lot, and maybe this is actually like a perfect thing to say for this podcast specifically, that, you know, a lot of people think that a lot of comics need therapy, that they're using comedy. And I don't think comics need therapy. I think they need social workers. I think more so than therapists, comedians need social workers.
Because they need new families?
They just need a lot of help. They need more help than just the psychological help.
That's so, yeah, it's like also like almost every comic I know like has a therapist and talks about their therapist. I'm like, I think you need a new therapist. I don't think it's working.
I love my therapist.
I love my therapist too. My therapist now is great. But
How long have you been with your therapist?
Not that long, like since January. But before that, I had the worst therapist.
Were you with the worst therapist when you were going through all like the like coming to Jesus moments in your life?
No.
Were you with no therapist then?
I was with no therapist then. And then I met a therapist in rehab.
In rehab. Okay, so you didn't start therapy until after rehab. You didn't have like a therapist that you were just like bald-faced lying to all the time.
I had one at the very end for like 2 months. That one I missed sessions all the time. And 2, I was like, I have like a slight problem with like a couple things, but it's not that big of a deal. And she was like,
was she catching on? Was
she
for
like, sure.
Yeah,
she was like, you're like, what do you mean you had a seizure?
When I was in high school, I got a therapist, And the main thing going on in my life was that like I was like miserably heartbroken by this girl in high school, but I felt very embarrassed like that was like I was like, ugh, is this really like a big problem?
Yeah.
So I just made up other problems to like, and I'd be like this, and like also this girl, and he's like, well, which one's the one that's bothering you more? And I'd be like, the other thing, because I like was weirdly embarrassed and didn't want to tell the truth.
I did that in high school because I started going to therapy because like my friend group was like having a lot of drama, and I like wasn't friends with the girls I had been friends with, and it was like a really big deal to me at the time. But I thought that was like too like uninteresting. So I was like, let me make every single thing that's ever happened with my parents sound much worse than it was, you know? But yeah, I feel like
Your parents are like getting taken away. Well, we didn't do anything.
yeah, I know. I'm like, oops.
See, I keep making, I keep having this joke problem that I make where I like say people raped me into doing things I don't want to do, and then
Yes,
they get real
really uncomfortable.
People get real uncomfortable when you accuse
say
them
rape.
of rape. But like, you know, I'm not saying like you raped me like sexually. I'm like, you raped me into playing a ping pong match I didn't want to play.
You raped me into going to your Improv 101 show.
Yeah. Exactly.
That actually, I think,
was,
is much worse than rape.
Yeah. The other day I had Eli Leonard on my podcast, and I kissed him on my show, and I told him
On
on Undiscovered Genius.
Oh.
And I told him he raped me into kissing him because it was like in front of everyone, and like he made the thing. I'm like, well, now I got a big choice to like not look cool, not look like I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
or to actually
you got to take a
kiss him.
stance now, much later.
But obviously, I'm just joking. But he froze up a bunch when I said it on the podcast, just like
Yeah,
the
people
guy,
kind of-
just like the guy I told raped me into playing ping pong with me. Went to HR and complained. There's two people. There's two types of people in the world. There's comedians and there's everyone else.
Have you ever?
And comedians do not fit into regular society.
No. Have you ever?
I posted a boomerang once, and I without like listening, I just picked "Damn, it feels good to be a gangster" because like I felt gangster, and then like later I was like going through my stories because you know you're always looking back at your own stories and be like, yeah, that was a great post of mine. And I was like listening to the lyrics, and he was just saying the N-word so many times, like this is too many times for something I'm posting.
Yeah,
and I took it down.
Weirdly, you're our first Jewish guest, which feels wrong, seeing as it's all comics.
Well, yeah, but it's bad influences, and
yeah, exactly. I'm like, we've
usually
talked about tattoos a lot, and I'm like, well, we can't talk about that with you.
Well, I've had ideas for tattoos. Would
you get a tattoo?
You know, listen. If I ever thought of like an actual, I don't think I'm committed to anything enough to get a
I'm
tattoo.
not either.
But like, all the tattoos I come up with are also joke tattoos.
I think that's fun though.
Yeah, but like, I can't get like I've had an idea of getting a prison tat that says I went to prison and all I got was this stinking tattoo.
That's funny.
You know, like those novelty T-shirts.
I want to make merch that says like it's like the novelty T-shirts. I'm gonna do somebody who said they loved me broke up with me and all I got were these stupid bangs. And I'm like, but the problem is then I would be stuck with bangs.
I also wanted to get like a bunch of broken heart tattoos on my arm, but it would be like the first one would be like Brittany, and then it would be like Courtney, and then it would be like Rachel, and then it'd say Steve, and then it'd be like Michelle, and you'd be like, whoa, what's going on with that Steve one there? It's like experimental phase of my life.
College.
Experimental period of my
That's funny. I feel like I just had a conversation with a friend about how they were like, how could anyone get someone's name tattooed on them? And I'm like, me in the first like 90 days of dating anyone, I would do it in a second.
I'd get a tattoo of somebody for the worst reason. The reason I'd get a tattoo of someone is like to hold on while it's falling apart. Make like a last ditch effort to keep them by permanently imprinting their name on my skin.
That makes sense to me too.
Desperate, like in a desperate move. I'm like, you can't leave me now. I did this to myself.
I'm gonna have to find another Brittany.
Yeah, I start only dating people with the name Brittany.
Yeah. Oh,
just like make this tattoo.
One of my friends has a J
and like
tattoo.
I'll hide the tattoo too while I'm dating them, but then one day, like when I think they're gonna leave, I'll be like, look what I did.
This is all about you.
Yeah, but it's old.
Yeah. One of my friends got a J, and I'm like, conveniently the like letter of almost every man's name.
Oh yeah, Jay is a
like
top.
a Jake broke up with her, but I'm like, you got Josh's, you got Joe's,
Set
you
me
got
up.
Jacob's.
Set me up. Is she hot?
Medium.
Medium.
She's very well behaved.
Except for that whole getting a tattoo. That's not good behavior.
Oh, that's true. I think my standards for good behavior are a little skewed.
Yeah.
Which is the main thing we've learned on this podcast.
I see this tiny little tattattoo
This one?
on her arm. Yeah, that feels like looks like a dreidel first off, and then
it's too small is the lesson I learned.
yeah, it really looks like minimal commitment to the tattoo game.
You know what's funny is I was like, it's small, like it'll be like a cute small one. It's right in the middle of my arm, so it's not like
it's in such a strange spot.
I know,
too.
so I have to get like so much around it to make it not weird.
Yeah. Do you have other tattoos?
This one was one day I was sad and I decided I wanted a tattoo. Yeah, I've like
Well, at least you didn't get a teardrop because you were sad. You're like, oh, that'll express my sadness.
But sometimes like when I go through something hard, I'm like, maybe I'll just commit and be like a face tattoo kind of girl.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually do it, I don't think, but if the right man breaks up with me, maybe.
Yeah. What kind of face tattoo would you get?
The problem is I'd get something like super basic. I'd be like a rose or like
A rose?
like really
Like,
small.
where would you get
like
the
Gabby
rose?
Lamb's tattoos.
Like, okay. Would you get like a rose like in a teardrop type position, like a rose coming out of your eye?
Probably.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, right. Right. My
mom has
mom
face
would
tattoos. She
For
has
real?
like her eyebrows.
That doesn't count.
I like to tell people though to make my mom seem hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. My mom hates tattoos.
What were the other ones on your arms?
This one says Andiamo.
No, that's just squiggles.
None of my tattoos are like
That is just like you kind of passing a lie detector test.
was I sober for this one? No.
Was the tattoo artist sober for that one? No.
Did he do time in jail? Yes.
Colts fan?
Drunk in Austin.
Drunk in Austin, and you're like, oh, let's commemorate this time forever. Was that the recent Austin trip?
That was like 2 years ago.
But
yes,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah. That was 2 years ago, would still be considered recent.
Very recent. Yeah.
Okay.
Then I have this one that I
a
got.
Cross?
Yeah. I had about 2 days where I got sober and I was like, oh my God, I found God.
And then you found a drunk tattoo artist to do a cross on your finger.
It's also, it looks like a knife.
But like, why? Are you religious?
No. When I got sober, like it was a whole thing of like,
You got the cross on your finger. You got the dreidel on your arm.
I'm just trying to like represent what else?
All religions.
I don't know what religion butterflies are, but
You have a picture of the Prophet Muhammad
I have
on this.
a poppy. That's probably some religion.
Oh, those are nice. Those I like that one. And what's the other ones you should undo?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I actually do have one. Oh, the worst one is I have one like back there.
Wait, let me see. I can't see. You got to pick your hair up. It's still covering it. Stay gold. Yeah. Golden.
Stay gold.
Stay gold.
It's from The Outsiders, but it looks like a
no,
jail
it's Stay
tattoo.
Golden, Ponyboy.
No, it's Stay Gold.
I think it's Stay Golden.
It's not.
I mean,
the Robert Frost poem.
The nice thing about if it's Stay Golden instead of Stay Gold, as opposed to the other way around, is that you can correct that.
Yeah, that's true.
If you got Stay Golden, but
I
then
think
you
there
found
is, like,
out
a
later
period after it, though, where I'm like,
was
what
Stay
does that
Gold.
mean?
Oh, can we get? This is a good time to use the guess. Can we find out if it's Stay Gold or Stay Golden?
We're on it.
Stay Golden, Ponyboy.
If it's Stay Golden, I got to make a tattoo appointment, I guess.
Yeah, no. Well,
I have, like,
do
way
we
more,
agree?
too.
Do we agree to get a tattoo appointment if it's Stay Golden, Ponyboy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Stay Gold, though.
Okay, well, we'll find out in a moment. Did you
The
read
best
it?
is I do have.
It is Stay Gold, Ponyboy, Stay Gold. Courtney's
Damn it.
correct.
I'm so upset that
I do
wrong.
have one quote that is. I have a quote on my
I'm
ribs
outta
that's
here.
wrong. You're leaving. Like, I'm out.
Oh, man, that hurts me so bad. I've been saying Stay Golden, Ponyboy, for so long.
And you've been wrong.
Yeah.
Great book that everyone reads in 8th
Problem
grade.
is now I got to get my tattoo redone.
Yeah. I do have one. I have a tattoo on my ribs where the quote is just wrong.
The quote is wrong.
Yeah, like it was not.
Oh, what's the tattoo on your ribs?
It's
don't
a
have to show
William
me.
Burroughs. I wasn't going to show you. It's a William Burroughs quote.
Oh man, really weird guy too.
I know.
Didn't he kill someone?
His wife.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, he shot her in the head because he was trying to shoot a bottle off of her head.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a cool guy.
That's a great trick to killing your wife too.
Yeah, no, right? I'm like,
honey,
really good excuse.
honey, I got this new trick I'm working on. You trust?
I know. He
you
also
trust me.
was like probably gay.
You haven't read any of my books. You don't think I'm a weird freak?
Yeah. See, this is the problem. Like that guy who was
Did
like,
he go to jail for it?
no,
No, he got away.
he was in Mexico. You can do anything there.
Oh, he was in Mexico. Okay, that makes sense.
But no, I love William
Then
Burroughs.
it's acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Her going to Mexico. That I blame her.
I blame her for her taste in men, and I'm like, God
Oh,
damn.
come on. You blame her for her taste in men?
I know. I blame her for my taste in men somehow. I'm like, this guy seems cool. Let me get his words tattooed on me forever.
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to tattoo. I'm going to tattoo a murderer's. I'm not even going to get it right.
Murderer, heroin addict, possible pedophile, but that I didn't know until after.
Okay.
Only the best influences.
Well, I think the more you learn about him, the happier you probably are that the quote is misquoted.
That's true. Anyone could have said it.
What is the quote that you have, and what was the actual quote?
The quote is also, it's like, I'm so far out, one day I won't come back at all.
That's what it says, or that's what the actual quote is?
That's what it says. And the actual quote is like, I'm so far out, one day I'll never come home or something. I'm like, neither of those. Also, what does that mean? Like, why was I?
He's so far out in Mexico that he
exactly.
just shot his wife and he can't go back to the States.
He's like, I've been banned forever. Then he moved to Africa, so
Then he moved to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. Mm-hmm. What part of Africa?
The Tangiers.
The Tangiers?
Which I don't know if that's a place anymore.
It's the name of the hotel in the movie Casino. So bad influences.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the theme. Have we even really gotten in? We got into the tattoos, which I feel like. What inspired you to get the tattoos? Was there a rebellious quality? Your parents upset about the tattoos?
My
Do they have any
parents
feelings?
still hate tattoos.
They still hate tattoos.
Yes. And my parents, I feel like, were surprised.
They were like, your parents were like, people who get tattoos then get into drugs, and you're like, well, I didn't prove you wrong,
That's
Mom
the
and Dad.
funniest part. I feel like
You became everything that they were worried about someone who gets tattoos becoming.
Oh, but they're way more disappointed in the tattoos than the
they're-
rehab or living in a
the
halfway
heroin
house.
you can stop
Yeah,
doing.
they're like, no one has to know about that.
Yeah.
Even though I tell everyone constantly.
Even though I'm doing a podcast called "I Used to Be a Heroin." Now, were you doing heroin? Yeah, that's a yes.
No.
It's funny. I have a joke about how how.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, what?
Because I have strong opinions on this joke.
Do you know which joke it is?
I think so.
About ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Yeah. That like people always come back from like doing hallucinogens, like, oh my God, it'll change your life. It'll change your. I'm like, no, it won't. It'll make you just like a smug son of a bitch for 2 weeks. Then you go back to being the same petty piece of shit you were before you did the drugs. You want to do a drug that'll change your life? Do heroin. Heroin will change you. You will be a different person after you do heroin than before.
And yet
you did heroin.
still a comic.
Well, I often my other joke is I compare like doing comedy to doing heroin.
It's because it's the same people.
Yeah, well, I say like it's like people say it's brave to do comedy, but I just think it's brave like trying heroin for the first time is brave. You're like, the needle's scary, you don't know what's going to happen, then you do it and you're like, this is great, I'm going to keep doing this.
Oh yeah, no,
Pretty
I
soon it's
think
the
all
only
my
thing you
problems are the
do.
same problem.
All your friends are just other people who do it too.
Yep.
Your life ends in tragedy.
Yeah, you're dating
Exactly.
people who do it, and then you're surprised that they're also unstable.
Yeah. A lot of instability.
Yeah.
Wait, so what were you mainly doing? Cocaine?
The biggest thing at the end was Xanax, and it was like,
Oh, man, I love Xanax.
I love Xanax too, but it's the withdrawing from Xanax is the worst.
Well,
It's way worse than any other.
I made a rule for myself with Xanax, which is that I only take it when I fly. So I've recently applied to become a flight attendant.
I was like, if you can listen to your own rules, I think that proves that you're probably less of a bad influence than me.
Well, it's funny, like, I'm on like a steady dose of like normal anti-anxiety, antidepressant. I'm on Lexapro and Wellbutrin.
Oh, I'm on
and
Wellbutrin
I never
and
had a
Prozac.
problem. I never had a problem with Xanax, but before I was on Lexapro and Xanax, my doctor gave me. Well, the first time I just got Xanax from a drug dealer because I was terrified of flying.
Yeah.
And it was big thing I've learned is never ask a drug dealer for like drug advice that isn't related to having a good time. Because
Yeah.
I was very terrified of flying.
Like, how do I take this based on a doctor's?
I was very afraid of flying, and I hit up my weed dealer. I was like, hey, by any chance, do you sell Xanax? He goes, no, I don't, but I have some, and I'll sell it to you. I'm like, okay, so yes, you do sell Xanax. And he gave me
now you do.
He gave me like a 25 milligram pill, which is a lot.
Wait, you mean 2.5? Is it one bar?
It was a lot. I don't remember.
It was not 25.
2.5.
That would kill like a horse.
Okay. 2.5. 2.5. And
Not that I would know.
25 kilogram.
People are always like, why are you so good at metric system?
And I'm at the airport. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I call him and I'm like, hey, like, how do I take this? What's your medical advice?
How do I take this?
And he doesn't know I'm at the airport or anything. So he goes, yeah, I usually would take 1 or 2 and then have like a beer or 2 with it. And I'm like, okay, that's, I guess, how a doctor would prescribe Xanax.
Yes, that is specifically what they say.
So I take the pill, I go to the bar, I order 1 beer, I wake up in bed in Manhattan after my flight, all my luggage is there. I have zero recollection of anything between having that drink and waking up in the morning. I literally teleported into my bed.
It's the best.
And I was like, I could have met the love of my life on that plane.
Never
I
know.
could have been a hostage and like a hero, and like I never even found out about it.
One time I did that, and after I had taken it and was already drinking, they changed my gate. And I just missed my flight.
Oh, man.
I was like, that's not
I
going to work
apparently
for
went
me.
into autopilot and just
Sometimes
worked.
you do. There's
But-
a lot of time where I'm just like, I was living a life. I just don't know what life it was.
But like really, once I started taking it under a doctor's supervision, only when I flew again, it really would make me my best self, and or what I felt was my best self, because I was always like, I always say that like Xanax doesn't make you no longer think the plane's gonna crash. It just makes you not care.
It's the best.
Because it's like before, I'm like, plane's gonna crash, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Then after this started taking Xanax, I'm like, plane's gonna crash, guys.
Dude, half the time I would like take
We're all
Xanax
gonna
before
die.
a flight, and like if the flight was landing, I was like, oh, I'm having a really good nap. I really hope this plane crashes. Like, let's make it longer.
I don't know if I hope that, but I went through a long period of like being like having like no girlfriends, no dates or anything in
Just
Los Angeles.
Xanax? Me too.
But when I'd be on Xanax on planes, I'd be seated next to girls and I'd get so loose and I'd just start talking to them. And I ended up going out with 3 girls I met on airplanes. I went out with more
Makes so
women I
much
met
sense.
on airplanes than off of airplanes for like a period in my life, because it's just like, I couldn't even tell you how I opened with them. I don't remember. All I know is like,
Was
I
it,
pick
hey,
up
want some
and I'm
Xanax?
like in the middle of a conversation. One of them ended up becoming, one of them was a pageant queen that we went out on like a couple
Why
dates.
do you only date like Josh has dated a model, a beauty queen, some other
Keep
successful
them going.
people.
Make this the clip for the
No,
the promo clip, please, out of your mouth.
Meanwhile, I've dated comics and guys who end up in jail.
But she, like, very quickly, like after I wasn't on Xanax anymore and we were talking in like public space, like, oh, you and I are not compatible. I'm pretty sure she was pretty staunch Republican and things. And then so we broke up. We weren't like seriously dating, but there was like an Instagram photo of me with her. And then right after that, she started getting into like professional bodybuilding. So it's like, so I always joke that it was like pictures of like me and her on the Instagram, then no more pictures of me and her, just her like getting in shape to kick my ass is what it looked like.
That's
like
funny.
she was preparing to teach me a fucking lesson. Yeah, it's hard to tell stories about the things you did on Xanax because it's hard to remember them.
People people are like, what's the craziest thing you did? I'm like, woke up and was banned from Uber with no idea why.
Really?
Yeah.
You were banned from, are you still banned from Uber? Are you in a permanent ban?
No, I got it back after like a year.
Oh, okay.
Which was
You were
nice.
You were on a temporary.
They didn't tell me why I was off of it or
Jesus,
how I got back.
What the fuck did you do?
No one knows.
That'd
Well,
be
someone knows.
Someone
it's just
knows.
not me.
We just got to find that driver.
I'm like, I
Hunt him
kind
down.
of hope he's died of natural causes.
Another flying Xanax thing is when I flew to Israel for Birthright. I was seated next to this girl. I had a window seat. She was in the middle seat. And we were on the tour together, but we didn't know each other yet. And she goes, hey, any chance you would mind like swapping seats with my friend so we could sit together? And I'm like, where is she sitting? And he showed me and she was in the middle seat. And I'm like, sorry. And then I went, anyway, I'll see you in Israel. And then I like put my head down. And then she shakes me awake. And I'm like, what? She goes, we're here. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, you said, see you in Israel. And then you put your head down and didn't move for 14 hours.
That's amazing.
I was worried you were dead.
Yeah, you should be worried. That's funny.
Again, both times just felt like I fucking teleported.
It's the best.
It was great.
Yeah. So moral of the story, I'm gonna start doing Xanax again.
Yeah. This is the podcast like where Courtney's like, I'm gonna try and get my life back on track by discussing all the things that like have been bad influence on my life, and then you're hearing all the bad influences. You're like, that sounds pretty good.
Well, it's funny because we've had a lot of sober people on the podcast. I say we, it's only my podcast,
Yeah.
but and I feel like every fun story that a sober person tells, but they're like, but in the end, he was miserable. And it's like, you know what's fun? Having people that just end the story with like, isn't that funny?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I feel like I understand drug addiction. Because
you do comedy, so you know 9 million drug addicts.
Well, no, I don't even mean from that. I fucking love food so fucking much. It's so hard. You know what I've realized is my bad influence? Society. Society is my bad influence because when society shut down for a year for the pandemic, I lost 40 pounds. I was like reading books every day, journaling. I wrote half of a novel. Then society opened. I stopped writing. I gained 55 pounds. I don't journal anymore. Society itself is my bad influence. I kept telling myself, like, I'm going to keep this going once we get out of here. I'm going to be like a put together person. I made more money during the pandemic that I've ever made. Like right now I'm struggling like every
You know what's funny
day.
is I remember the first time I saw you, like post-pandemic or whatever, like when we were free.
At the Cole backyard
Yeah,
party
and I
where
was
Margo was like, oh my God, it's Josh.
Yeah, Margo was like, oh my God.
You know what was so great about that moment was that was exactly how I wanted to be re-greeted by society.
And one person gave it to you.
One person gave it to me. But yeah, go on.
But I remember seeing you and being like, no, that's not Josh.
Oh, because
and then being like,
skinny I
oh my
was?
God, where did Josh go?
Well, that's the other funny thing is that Reed got in way better shape than me during the pandemic, but like people weren't that impressed by Reed because Reed was already like pretty like
I didn't really notice.
Kind of short and muscular before, and and it was like every Reed and I would go, people were like, Josh, Jesus Christ, man, look at you, and like Reed's like, what am I, chopped liver over here?
That keeps happening to me. I'll be somewhere with previous guest Rob Puglisi, and people will be like, oh my God, Rob, you're so skinny, and I'm like,
you look great. You've lost a ton of weight.
You.
You're looking excellent.
Thank you.
I've noticed.
Someone's noticed.
Yes.
Usually people are like, is your hair different?
Well, I also feel like girls don't want to give girls compliments. Is that a thing?
Oh, that's 100% a thing.
Yeah,
girls are mean.
Yeah. Well, I also like good influences on me are like, man, it's like if you break my heart in a way that's like it's very funny because it's like I've had my heart broken like 3 times over the past 5 years. And like in those 3 times, 2 of them were like very seemingly good relationships for the most part. And like I feel like they really liked me for who I was. So I feel no motivation to like change or get revenge. Like, because like, I don't feel like I can. I don't feel like achieving success or getting in shape is going to make them feel bad. But like the unhealthy toxic relationship, you get out of that. I get out of those unhealthy toxic relationships. Well, I'm going to get this fucking body.
Oh yeah.
She's going to see me. And then I did see that person said no comment about my physical appearance.
That always happens where you're like,
fucking money.
Yeah. You're like, this
next
is all
time you
for
see,
them.
I told the next, so she like was complaining about my weight while we were together because she was a toxic person.
Yeah.
And
classic. Those hot people.
I was like, if you want me to get abs, dump me. Next time you see me, I'll have abs. Break my heart next.
So
and then the next time I saw her, I didn't have abs because it's very hard. It's way harder than I gave it credit. I lost a lot of weight. Abs was like a long ways away. Couldn't get abs. Don't think it'll ever happen.
That's so funny. Like a girl comment about losing weight is a girl being like, oh my God, your boobs are so much smaller. And you're like, thank you for noticing the one thing I miss.
Ironically, that same compliment to me would be great. I'd love it if anyone came up to me and said, Josh, your boobs are so much. Oh, thank you.
Do you know who Stacia Patwell is? I feel like every female comic did her program and lost like 30 pounds. And I'm like, I feel like, do all their boyfriends like resent her for just making sure that no female comics have boobs? Like,
oh, did they all lose their boobs because of it?
That's what happens.
I've managed to date pretty skinny girls with pretty big breasts. It's
You said that like you were teaching sex ed.
I don't know genetically
not to brag.
how I find them. Maybe it's like a skinny Jewish girl thing, even though a lot of these girls weren't Jewish.
You and your dating, I'm like, someone explain it to me.
Well,
It's your personality?
My mom was like, I don't know what it is. You know what I think it is? I think it's that I give off a much better first impression than like what's really going on with me. I like seem like the comedian who's got it together and like has a head on their shoulders.
You kind of do, but then you get
like, and then you get to know me, and then they all break up with me eventually. They're all like, oh, he doesn't have it together.
Yeah,
it was just an illusion because he's a magician.
I get that. I feel like a lot of guys when I first start dating them, they're like, oh my God, you're like the chill girl. Like, I love you, so chill. And then it's like, that was all fake.
Give it a couple months and no matter. I always say this. It's like no matter what, when you're at work, when you have a job, a lot of people start their job and go, you know what, I'm not going to let my personality out here. I'm just like, this is just going to be work. 2 months in, your personality.
Yeah, it's like your personality is really hard to
out.
hide.
There's nothing you can do to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
Same thing with dating. That's why I love that movie Gone Girl. I love Gone Girl because I think Gone Girl.
My guy Ben Affleck.
Oh, I just think Gone Girl is such an accurate movie about relationships that like you put on this face when you meet somebody and you like, and part of you loves them because you feel like they're able to see the best version of yourself that you're trying to put on to prove to them that you are.
Yeah.
But then over time, you're just going to become who you are and they're going to become who they are. And you're going to realize that first initial spark was all a facade.
Yeah. But then the hard part is when they break up with the real you, where you're like, because they actually know you, you're like,
yeah. That's why I can't do an open relationship.
I'm just too jealous.
Yeah, well, my whole thing is it's like I almost feel like I could do an open relationship. I just can't handle getting dumped from an open relationship.
Oh God,
because it's not like I I can accept hey, I just want to explore with other people, but I can't accept like, well, I've let you explore with other people. Yeah, I like
them better.
I just don't want you anymore.
Yeah,
I'm just done with you.
That's such a good point. I'm like, another reason why that wouldn't work for me.
That's the rejection we ultimately can't handle. That's the true fear of the open relationship. I always say this might be a toxic thing.
I know it's in there.
What? Oh!
Your toxic side.
I've literally told girls before. I'm like, if you cheat on me, just get away with it. That's all. That's all. I don't want to know. Just get away. Like, I don't want to even suspect. Don't feel guilty. Don't act guilty around me. Just fully get away with it.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just like, just don't love them.
You can love them. Just get away with it.
Don't let me know.
I just don't want to know. I think don't have a come to Jesus. I got to come clean. Get this off of my conscience thing. No.
Well, that's like is your confession only making them feel worse thing? Like if someone is telling you something, just get it off their chest.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah. That's like being an asshole.
No, you carry that with you.
Yeah, exactly.
You did this. I didn't do this.
You carry the shame.
You did this. You deal with the consequences. Don't get a VD. Don't do anything that I'll find out about. Just
that I feel like also was the sex ed way of saying that. VD.
A VD? A venereal disease?
Yeah.
Don't get the clap, which I said don't get the herp.
Like, I don't even. What is the clap?
Don't be herping up into my place. What's the non-clinical way to say? How do people say it other than don't get a VD? Don't get
That's a good
venereal.
point.
Yeah, I don't.
STD seems less formal to me.
Don't be coming home with AIDS.
Don't be coming home with AIDS.
Don't get the HIV.
God.
Don't be dropping into my spot with the HIV.
You know what's funny is I feel like that is my first. I'm like, I don't know anyone with AIDS, obviously, because
I know multiple people with AIDS.
What?
Yeah, it happens.
Are they anyone I know?
I think there's comedians that you know that have AIDS. Maybe they don't talk about it as publicly anymore.
Anymore?
Yeah. Well, I found out one of them had AIDS because they did a bit about it.
I think you have to do a bit about it if you.
Well, you know what? Actually, that reminds me of something I wanted to talk to you about with you. Part of why I really like that you're doing this podcast is something I very much felt is that you need in your stand-up to be more open about all this stuff in your life. And I think
have a hard time being open about it.
Yeah, but like I think that's like the important thing is like the best stand-up is vulnerable.
Yeah.
So like finding and like that's also the thing that's gonna make you distinct. Like you have jokes I love, like your Britney Spears joke and your joke about the Bechdel test.
Oh, yeah.
Those are great jokes, but they're not jokes that like distinguish you where I'm like only Courtney could do that because
Yeah.
like you know like any girl could tell the Bechdel test joke and that works. Anyone could tell the Britney Spears joke and that'll work for them. But there's a whole world of you that I feel like a lot of people are wanting to get to know on stage. But
You're the second person that said that.
Well, it's because it's a thing that
like,
people
one of
who
my
care about
friends,
you will tell you.
Yeah, she's like, why do you talk about dating so much when you like have this whole thing that you're like the bad kid?
I think if I were to give myself, you know, what was it you were saying about me at Bert's back room that I'm like,
the comedy dad.
Comedy dad. Well, listen, I have amazing advice for people. If you want the stand-up advice you need, come to me. I'll tell it to you. I'm not saying Ian Russo even took my advice, but for years I'd been telling him be more vulnerable on stage or be more self-deprecating. Stop acting like you're great.
Used to be braggy.
Talk about what a piece of shit you are. And then he did that in his hour and it turned out shockingly impressive.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No, I said I did, but I didn't.
Oh. Just to fit in with all the
No,
people.
I like someone he like messaged me and said thanks for coming and I was like, you're welcome, loved the album.
But yeah, like you know, start, you know, but the great thing about doing this podcast is I get a ton of material from doing my podcast. Like bits grow out of that, and you have something where you're literally talking about this. So when you have something that's real funny that happens in here, go do it on stage.
I feel like when guys talk about doing drugs, it's like, oh, he's so cool, and when girls do it, it's like,
Well, no, I mean, look what Mulaney just did. I know that's Mulaney, and it is a guy.
Man.
And he's also
perfect example.
But no, again, it's just like finding the funny, and the funny comes in the honesty and relatability.
I feel like
so make it relatable. You're a person who went through this experience. Other people have gone through this experience. There's a reason you went through this experience. There's a draw. Like I was how I was just talking about how much I fucking love Xanax earlier.
Beware.
I don't have a problem with it, but there is a thing that like I recognize that I could have a problem with it.
Yeah.
That's why I've applied to become a flight attendant. Like I need to fly every day I can follow my rules.
Yeah. I feel like Mulaney and I watched his special and I was like, oh my God, the main thing we have in common is that we were both the most famous person at our rehab.
Were you the most famous person?
Yep, by having like been a guest on one podcast.
Yeah. Everyone else was just a pure degenerate.
Oh yeah, everyone else's credits were mostly like jail.
Yes.
Yeah, the funniest part about rehab was seeing like people where you're like, oh, that's where I'm going.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, if I continue dating this guy that I met in rehab.
You started dating someone you met in rehab? Mm-hmm. Interesting. They
I do have
you
a joke
guys
about
date?
that. No, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It's a really bad idea, actually.
Why is it co-ed?
I feel like for pure chaos. Like, there's no reason for it to be, like, co-ed.
There's some sort of, like, MK Ultra, like, experiment going on in all these rehab.
Yeah.
Some,
People,
like, study
have sex in
being done
rehab.
that what?
People, like, sneak off and have sex in rehab.
wild that that's even like made possible, because that's a huge
I lived
addiction
in
in
a
and of
co-ed
itself.
sober living, which is like a halfway house, where I'm like, people are fucking in the bathroom all
and
the
did that guy
time.
die?
Yeah, I have a joke about how he ghosted me.
Because he died?
It's okay. He did it to
See,
himself.
there you go. That's pulling from your life.
That one
experiences. Isn't it
goes
so nice?
either way.
Like, one of the beauties of being a comedian is how the horrible moments of your life are like the blow is softened by it entering your bit, and then you're almost like, oh man, kind of like on a certain level happy he died, because it really makes this joke I came up with. It really helps me get through 20 seconds of my stand up.
And it feels like the rare, like, unique part of my set. And I fucking love that joke. But then I'm like, sorry, Jared.
That's funny too.
Honoring his memory.
Yeah, honoring their memory. Kazim has a joke about that you were like 3 days after I'm blanking on his name. He was a comedy magician that died.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking
yeah.
about? And Kazim has like a whole bit about him, and he was like good friends with him. That you were like 3 days after he died. Does it all the time.
If I died and someone wrote a joke about me, I'd be like, they're still talking about me. You know?
Yeah, my whole thing is like, I very much, you know, people always say that thing. It's like, he would have wanted us to like celebrate.
Oh, fuck no. I want everyone to be
mourn. I'm like,
really
yeah,
sad.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like more like relentless mourning. Like I don't want you posting about my death and then posting a promo for your show.
Absolutely
right
not.
after.
I want every show to be a memorial show for me.
I am totally okay with you making my death about you.
Me
Like
too.
I don't understand when people are like someone dies and I was like, oh,
They weren't even friends
this
with that
one time
person.
I met them and they did this. It's a great way to make it about you. Okay, so you'd rather them just say nothing? No, make it about me. Talk about that time. Josh was the funniest. Oh, every time he walked into a room, he lit it up. The #1 podcast guest on every podcast, bar none.
Yeah. I love when people are like, you weren't even friends. Like, why are you posting about them? I'm like, no, every person I've ever met should post about me.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a
and
friend
I'm not
of
friends
a friend,
with anybody, so
I hate everyone.
I'm a miserable son of a bitch. Pretend you were my friend.
Yeah, I feel like I would be really annoyed if I died and like because comics die frequently, and it's like I would be mad at the next comic that died.
I just saw a comic that I'm friendly with on TV, and I posted Boomer, but like I'm just kind of friendly with them, and I posted a thing like, oh, crazy seeing so many of my friends on this show, and then when I tagged him, I'm like, I hope he sees that and like thinks we're friends, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's what there are people where I'm like, I support you. We're friends.
Yeah,
now that you're doing well.
Who was your worst influence? How did you get? You know, one thing I want to know is like you did a crazy bang up job, like really hiding.
I was really
your
good at
problems, dramatic. Like I really looked at you as like nice, quiet, soft spoken, has it together, Courtney.
That's like the funniest part. Is like everyone, because it's like I had close friends who.
When Bridget like told me what had happened with you, I was like, what?
It's funny because like the people that like knew me well were like, oh, that makes sense. And then there were people that like I thought knew me well that were like, what?
Yeah, like you had an acknowledgement. Like in order to like hide it like that, you have to also
I was like well aware.
acknowledging that you're like living this double life.
For sure. And like I had been for like a long time, like because I started doing drugs and stuff like in high school.
And like, was I like when I would see you at Fourth Wall, like when you were hosting in NoHo, would you be like, all
oh my
barred
God,
out
I was always so fucked up there.
driving around all over town, barred
all
out
over
of your
town.
mind?
Oh yeah.
Were you
Fourth
drinking
Wall,
and driving?
I could
Wait, wasn't
never.
it like what was the thing that got you in shoplifting, right? Wasn't that the thing that got you in trouble, like ultimately?
It was a lot of,
but like
the biggest thing was I ran my car into a pole.
Rammed your car into a pole. Yeah, exactly. Because you were driving around all barred out all the time.
Yeah.
Heavy equipment, heavy machinery.
That was.
People don't understand that a car is heavy machinery.
I was like, that's not what they're talking about, a forklift.
Yeah, everyone's like, I won't drive a forklift.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to hop in my VW Bug.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, the smaller your heavy machinery is, the more dangerous it is for you to be in.
Also, the more confident you are that you're
like
like
driving a tank around town, you're going to be fine.
Also, it's like my SUV.
Damn. Drove into how fast?
I'm not really sure.
You're not sure. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It ended up okay. No one died.
Then what was the shoplifting story?
Was there a shoplifting story?
I feel like there. I thought you got. That's right. That's what I thought I heard was the thing that happened that you got in trouble for. That you like either had to go to rehab or get in trouble.
Oh, this is a rumor.
Oh, maybe.
I got pulled over and like had drugs, but I got out of it.
Oh, damn. How'd you get out of it? They found the drugs?
Yeah, because they were sitting on my seat.
Oh.
They were really well hidden. They were literally on the passenger
don't
seat.
Travel with drugs when you're barred out.
Yeah, exactly. It was like,
this is fine right over here.
There's so many people that like, because after I got sober, I kept finding drugs. And like that usually doesn't happen. Usually drug addicts are like, I did all the drugs. And I was like, I was so fucking out of it. There were drugs everywhere.
Wild.
Like, where Percocet come from? What was I saying? Oh, I also am one of those people that, like if I'm drunk or like, I just black out, but no one knows because I'm like the same.
And yeah.
But then I'll do any drug, like anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
You were just like yes. You
Yeah.
were like Jim Carrey in that Yes Man movie.
Yeah, legitimately. It was like
you were like if that movie took a real dark turn where like Jim Carrey's walking down and out like, hey, you want to try some of this heroin? Yes,
like,
I have to say yes. That's my. I've made an agreement with my family that I'll say yes to things.
I was like, I'm just really polite.
It really goes down a dark. That movie could have taken a dark twist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, it could have taken a real.
You were like, I'll try anything 8 times.
That was the thing is I really did have I'll try anything. I want to live a life of experience. Then it was like, oh, I'm going to do that every day for the rest of my life.
But just like when I'm in my 80s, like
That's a better plan.
It coming to the end, then I'm gonna like start getting into like being a heroin addict. There's a huge AIDS epidemic in South Florida because amongst the elder community because they're just like smashing prostitutes with no protection and
but also it doesn't matter if you're 80.
Exactly. But apparently there's a huge AIDS epidemic because it's also like they aren't being that discerning about what prostitutes they're smashing. They're just like, I'm 80.
Yeah, why would you
going
care?
out with a bang?
I used to think that, like, as a young person, I feel like when we like had DARE, they like told us like what heroin was and stuff, and I was like, well, when I'm old, I'm gonna try that. But like I'm like, when I'm really old and it
then
doesn't
you move
matter.
To Hollywood, and you're like, well, I'm 30.
I'm not 30.
Oh. According to producers, I'm
45. I know. Yeah.
Wait, how old are you?
28.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Everyone thinks I'm like 39, and I'm like,
well, people think I'm younger than 38.
Oh, I know.
I'm 10 years
I know.
older than
Every
you.
man that's around me, people think is younger than me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I always say like you see me with the hat off, and you're like, oh yeah, he's 20, he's 38. But it is a different person. I do get why people don't recognize me. Like you always think like, how come people don't recognize Clark Kent and Superman the same person? It's like if I was a superhero, my trick to becoming now I'm Super Dome.
There's a guy that comes into the coffee shop I work at that if I have makeup on, he will ask for my number, and if I don't, he doesn't. And I'm like,
the same guy?
Same guy.
Is he all barred out all the time that he keeps forgetting he asked for your number?
Oh, he for sure. There's something going on. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I know how I look that day based on it. And some days I'm like, oh, I thought I looked cute. It's really disappointing.
You go there for the boost.
Always. Mm-hmm. I run exclusively on external validation.
Mm-hmm. But I also think that like a lot of comedians or like younger
That's the only reason to do comedy.
Was they would ask me how they'd find out I was older, like, and they'd be like, "Oh, thank God." I'm like, "Okay, well, now ask me if I was funnier than you at your age." All right, I know you think like this means you have time to get funny, but
that is what everyone does.
I'm not that much funnier.
Like I was this funny 10 years ago, and I'm still doing the same show as you.
Exactly. Well, that's like one of my favorite things to say when there's like a really young guy on stage, like an 18-year-old or something. I go, how old are you? They'll be like 18. I'm like, listen, man, just stick to it. Keep going to the mics. Keep working on your material. And in 20 years, you can be where I am today. That's
so funny because it's like, what are we working towards?
It's this is actually kind of what the novel I have finished is about. Just how everyone in Hollywood was just like shooting bullets in the dark. Like we all have no idea what we're doing, but we're just throwing whatever we can at the fan, hoping something hits a bullseye eventually.
Yeah.
But we have no one has any like real clue of the path towards success other than, Steven Spielberg being your dad.
Yeah, literally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, even with like social media, it's like, I feel like the clips I post, it's like the worse the joke is, the better it does. Because it's like, if the joke is at all confusing, people comment a million times, then it goes into
I gotta start posting shitty jokes. I think that's my path towards success, because my only semi-viral joke I've ever posted is a joke I don't even do that often in my act because I just think it's okay. And
that's how it is.
And people even commented, they're like, this isn't even a joke as much as a statement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, keep them coming. Keep the hate.
Yeah. I had someone...
It's like Darth Vader. Everyone's Darth Vader on social media. It's like, good. Or the Emperor, let the hate flow through you.
Yes.
And then I become more my social media becomes more powerful by the hatred flowing
and my
through all the commenters.
just goes down.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. I had someone tell me, they were like, I feel like your clips do well because, like, you look better on camera than you do in person. And I was like, how'd you take a compliment and make it as mean as you could? It was like, when they see you in person, they'll be disappointed. But on camera.
Well, I had this experience recently. So, you know how they say... You ever hear this advice, like if someone writes a mean comment, go look at their profile and you'll see what a loser they are? Mm-hmm. So I posted a clip and someone said, kind of funny, but his voice is so annoying. And then I was like, well, fuck you. Let's find out what you're all about. And he had like 100,000 followers. He was an artist. He had all these like great paint. I followed him.
You're like,
I gotta do something about my voice. So I started talking like this for a couple of weeks.
There's a couple comics
really hit me hard once I saw how successful this guy was.
Yeah.
Crushing me.
Some comics sound completely different on a podcast than they do like if you call them.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what I sound like. I always think
you sound the same.
I feel like I sound better in my head talking than I do when I listen.
I think of myself as having not a high-pitched voice, and then I hear it and I'm like, where'd that come from?
See, I hear myself like when in my head, I think I sound like Dennis Haskins, the Allstate guy. Are you in good hands? And then I listen to myself and I'm like, yeah, I'm a little nasally creep. I'm a nasally cretin.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I have a cool girl voice. And I'm like,
monstrous.
No, I don't.
I'm never going to make it. If this is what I sound like. If this is how my perfect baritone translates to audio.
Yes,
recording.
that's the problem. Do you have a quick story about a bad influence in your life?
I was like trying to think of this. That's before I came. The main thing I'd come up with was Society, based off of how much I'd fallen apart after the pandemic. I'm trying to think of.
I like that you found a way to blame everyone.
It's
not a person. It's
everyone's
the
a bad
world.
influence on me. I mean, social media is destroying us all.
I like that you picked big.
Well, I'm always saying whatever you guys see on social, however it looks like however well it looks like I'm doing on social media, when you look at my profile, just know that in reality I'm doing way better. I'm crushing it. The facade is that I'm not presenting my best
That
public
is actually just
image.
for the aesthetic.
Yeah. I try to humble myself on the social
You try to make people like you.
Way more famous outside of social media than I am on the social. I'm trying to come up with like my worst life influence. Oh, I did have one. Mm-hmm. And it was in high school. I was like a really goody two-shoes, generally speaking. Sort of. I was also a scumbag piece of shit. But like, really, honestly, the best comparison I can make to who I was in high school is I was straight up the Rushmore kid. If you see Rushmore, like, that is
like
what I went to private school. I got mediocre grades, was the captain of every extracurricular, was like making movies and film club, directing play. I like was him.
Yeah.
I asked out a teacher of mine. I like literally couldn't have been more. And I loved high school. I loved high school. I got weirdly depressed in college because everyone said this was going to be the best years of your life, and I was like, high school is way better for me.
Oh my God. We have a psychopath among us.
Totally. But I did a summer film program at the University of Miami, and one of the professors who I really liked, like, one day was just talking about in class openly about how he smokes a bunch of pot and like hangs out with people. And I was so against pot until I heard him say that, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll try marijuana. And then, like, if I were to really like, I'm going to be completely honest, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with pot. I was a huge pothead for a long period of my life. I still occasionally smoke, but not that much. But I would definitely be so much further along if I never smoked. I was on such a good track until I started derailing my life with marijuana because, like, it gave me that sense of accomplishment that I used to have to accomplish things to get. That's really what the pot did for me for a while, is I was like, ugh, I've done nothing with my day. Let me get high. I got high today.
I had that exact same experience where I was like, I'm not going to do drugs. And then I found out that my older siblings all smoked pot. The only difference was I was like 12.
Well, and then you started?
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was going to say is like stand-up, in a weird way, you know, a lot of people would say stand-up's destroying their life. Stand-up's like the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I would
because
agree.
I partially quit smoking pot because I didn't like performing high. So it was like keeping me from smoking all day because I wanted to do stand-up.
Yeah.
All these girls you're so impressed with me dating pretty much only started happening once I started doing stand-up, which is not a reason I would recommend anyone get into this, but like it worked for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the model you talk about me dating came up to me after I performed on a show she was at.
This has never happened to any woman ever.
It never happened to anyone else. Well, I think it was Bridget telling me that, like, me and her were at like the improv Christmas party and we started making out, and I forget who it was, but some comic was like this. Bridget's like going, "What am I doing wrong?"
Oh, that's so funny. Because one time I invited a guy to a show from Hinge, and he left without meeting me.
Oh, was that at the Belly Room?
Oh yeah, you were at that show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I feel like that's the exact opposite.
You were like on stage, like, I might have herpes.
I didn't say I don't have herpes.
No, but I forget what you said. But you said something
about someone I dated having herpes.
Yeah, and I would have gotten the fuck out of there too. You kidding me? There's no way I would have believed a word out of your mouth after that set.
I didn't get it.
I feel him. You're like, by the way, I don't have it on the podcast. But I also think about, like, there were people during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, that like freaked out about like things shutting down. And I went, yeah, you know, this person was a total loser in his whole life before finding stand-up comedy, which was like the first thing he was ever good at and got any social acceptance, any attention from the opposite sex or anything. And now you're telling him he can't do the only thing that's ever brought him any joy and prevented him from suicide in his life? Yep. Like, I understood. I felt for those. I still called the cops on him, but I felt no, I'm kidding. I didn't. I got accused of calling the cops on the micers, but I would have never.
I get it. But I would never. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I make a joke that I go, anyone who knows me knows I would never do anything to get in the way of other comics killing themselves.
Oh, that's funny.
But I like to make the joke that I did all the time because of that it really sounds like I did, but I didn't. I could care less what anyone does.
Yeah. Just to set the record straight on something that happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, something that happened 4 years ago. But like when I came out of the pandemic, there were certain people that would like cold shoulder me because they really believed I did.
That's so funny. That's such a like, comics need real jobs.
Yeah.
Something to actually
Pretty
care
much,
about.
because I was just like, I'm neurotic, I'm Jewish, I'm hiding from this disease all summer, so you guys do what you're going to do.
Yeah, and spread it amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Yeah, it was just so much fun. I had such a great time.
Yeah, me too. That was fun.
Such a great show.
Oh, yeah. Anything you want to plug your social media?
Yeah, you guys should follow me on the Edelmeister on all social media. That's TheEdelmeister. Yeah, this is why my social media.
We'll put it in the
This
notes.
is why my social media is tanking. Also, you should check out my podcast, The Jew Rogaine Experience, wherever podcasts can be found. You can also follow The Jew Rogaine Experience on Instagram. And I have a documentary called Mentally Al, currently available on Tubi. Hopefully,
It's
it'll be
actually very
back
good.
on Amazon soon. There are things that have had
There's
it kept
the story
down
there.
momentarily, and performing all over town. Well dressed at the Hollywood Roosevelt, Undiscovered Genius at the Improv, Grape Juice at Bar Covell.
And I will likely be on well dressed someday.
Someday.
Because I have a dress I really want to wear, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow me at Courtney Siaco, CIACCO. We got all the hard names today. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Peace.